Welcome to Bridging the Gap, the Madison County Chamber of Commerce podcast, where Madison County's stories and businesses connect. I'm Sarah Pugh, the Executive Director of the Madison County Chamber of Commerce. Each episode spotlights the people, businesses, and nonprofits that make our community thrive while sharing the stories behind what they do. We're looking forward to learning more about their story and their connection to Madison County. Today, I'm here with Katie Sparks with the Bakery Unlimited, and let's get started. Thanks for being here today, Katie.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much for asking me.
For those that may not be familiar, can you tell us about the Bakery Unlimited and what you offer?
Sure. So the Bakery Unlimited is a really unique place. We have a lot of history. We've been there for over 41 years. And unlike most bakeries nowadays, we make everything from scratch. And that's just really hard to find anymore.
Means early mornings for you, right?
Very early mornings, yes.
What are your hours?
So we are open from 5:30 a.m. until 3 p.m. from Tuesday to Saturday. We are closed on Sundays and Mondays.
Yeah. And this has been a long-standing family business, correct?
Yes.
Can you share a little bit about your journey into that family business?
Yes. So after I grew up in the bakery and I went to school here as well, I'm local. I went to college down in Kansas and I was gone for several years. And my mom, who had started the bakery, she actually passed away in 2020. So it was something that I had considered beforehand, but it was just very kind of abrupt when I decided to come back. But it's definitely one of the best things, I've ever done though. So I'm glad that I'm doing that now.
Yeah. So did you grow up going to the bakery early in the morning and watching her prep the donuts?
Not so much. I have older brothers too, so I was able to stay home, and then my dad was as well. So, I was never home alone or anything, but if I needed to go down to the bakery, one of them would normally take me down there. So if my mom wasn't able to.
Yeah. The bakery has been a part of the community for years. Can you share the history of that and how it began?
Sure. So it's a pretty interesting story because originally it was not planned. It was just one of those things that just kind of fell on my parents' lap. So my dad was working in Des Moines as an insurance agent, and he had a client who had a restaurant, and he was going to be closing up. And he had this machinery, and he had asked my dad if he knew anyone who might be interested in purchasing that machinery. So my dad had asked him, what he was wanting for it. And apparently it was a good enough deal that my dad said that he would go ahead, and buy it from him. So he stored it in our garage here in Winterset. It sat there for a few months. And he was intending on reselling it, to make a profit. Well, my mom was very involved in church and a bunch of different groups. And she had, 3 of my brothers at the time. But she still was a little bit bored. She was one of those that she was too smart for her own good, So you got to keep, someone like that busy. So she got to thinking, well, we have this machinery, what are we going to do with it? Well, I asked my dad a while back about the building of the bakery, and he recalls the owners approaching him and saying, hey, we have a building that we're going to be selling, would you be interested? And at first, my dad's like, why would we be interested? Why are you asking us? So after my parents had discussed it, then they're like, well, what if we do purchase the building and, we have all this equipment? And my mom actually got her degree in food nutritional research and chemistry. So with the knowledge that she already, contained, plus equipment in the building, they decided to start up a bakery. Because they felt like there was nothing like it around here. Mm-hmm. And they wanted somewhere where there's a lot of seating as well to accommodate the community.
And the rest is history,
yep,
right?
The rest is history. Here we are.
Oh my goodness. What was it like watching your parents build this business?
Well, to be honest, I didn't know anything different. But it was very inspiring because they're both very hard workers. They both, had their own businesses, but at the same time, my dad helped out, some too. Um, yeah, I'll say it's a lot of hours. It really is. So you really got to be passionate about what you're doing. But I am so thankful though that my mom decided to go that route, because then our parents were raising us. They weren't really away from home. So that was nice, being around our parents all the time. So that way they could raise us. And yeah.
What has it meant to your family to have a business that's been part of so many people's daily lives and traditions?
Um, it's amazing. It's a very special, it's a very special thing to be a part of. I have numerous stories, that folks have told me, how much something meant. I actually was just at Wagner Locker and got a sandwich there because I try to support local. And the gal working there, she just asked me, she's like, "Hey, don't you have the bakery on the square?" And I said, "Yeah, I do." And she said, "Oh man, those cupcakes, they were amazing. Thank you so much for doing those." So I love being a part of the community. And it makes it even that much better when, you can shop other places and they recognize you and they tell you how much they appreciate what you do.
Yeah. So growing up, did you know that you'd always be a part of the business, or did that come later?
So I wish I could say yes, but I have to say no. It was one of those things growing up. And like I said, that's the only thing I ever knew. So naturally, especially in my teen years, I had a lot of folks, they're very passionate about the bakery. They love it. And the kind of the fairy tale story is, the next generation will come and continue it on. So I felt like there's a lot of pressure, and I want to experience other things. So I might have done it a little extreme because then I left the state, but yeah. So again, I went to school, down in Kansas, and after I graduated from college there, then I ended up in the Kansas City area, and then I had some jobs, there as well. But it was one of those things. It was a strong calling, because with my church down there, I was that lady who, whenever they would have a bake sale, the ladies would be like, "Hey, Katie, will you bring something?" And I'm like, "Yeah, sure. I'd love to bring something." And in my tiny apartment, I would make like 20 different kinds of desserts.
Of course you did.
Yeah. And then I would walk into that church, with like 6 different baskets, of baked goods. So it's one of those things that, I love doing it. So if that wasn't, a hint, I don't know what would be. So,
Yeah. Oh my. What are some traditions that have stayed the same over the years?
Sure. So, all of our donuts, and a lot of other things are my mom's recipes. Okay. That has never changed. I am trying really hard, to keep the heart and the soul of the business still there. Because we've been successful, for this long. You don't want to change too much. So I really got to concentrate on, what everyone loves about the bakery, but at the same time trying to improve, a few things, because when you have a business that old, there just naturally are things that you need to improve on.
Yep.
So,
Yep.
but yeah, so our product is the same. So yes.
Do you have customers who have been coming in for generations?
Absolutely. I just had that conversation a couple of days ago with my dad, because especially with us kids, we were a part of a lot of things. So yeah, we had church, we were involved in sports, we were involved in choir and band. And then, and the bakery. So a lot of folks knew us, especially when we were younger. And my dad was just saying about how nowadays in the bakery, my parents used to know every single person, that came in the door. Where now, there are folks who have passed away. And then there are also, some people who we, went to school with are bringing in their kids as well. So my dad was saying that it's just very different where he knew everyone before. And then now, he just knows, a handful of folks because we constantly, have visitors coming in. So
very cool. And you participate in several community traditions. You do your bread day. Can you tell me about that?
Sure. So in 2020, during COVID, a lot of the grocery stores were running out of the necessities. They were running out of toilet paper. That was ridiculous. But so we ran out of toilet paper. They were running out of milk very quickly, and bread and eggs, the things that you just need, every day, at home. And so my mom wanted to help. And what better way, of helping than baking something for the community? So she knew that, she was very good at baking. And she's like, you know what? The stores are running out of bread. I know how to make bread. The fact that we make everything from scratch, we didn't have to rely, really on if we're able, to get the mix or whatnot. So as long as we're able to buy flour, we're in business. So she decided in 2020 to go ahead and make a whole bunch of bread. If I recall, I think it was 250 loaves of bread. And she set up a table outside of the bakery on her sidewalk, and she just handed it out to everyone who came by. And she would give one loaf, to that individual, and then one loaf to give away to a neighbor. And so many folks were touched by her generous heart that they said, well, how can we give back? And she said, oh, well, that's not the intent. We just want to, give back to you. Well, they said, well, we like to contribute in some way. So then she ended up putting out a jar and said, well, if you feel like it's on your heart, we don't want to keep you, from doing, something to help someone else as well. So with that jar, a lot of folks ended up donating. And then she used that money and used it for the food pantry here in town. So since she did that in 2020 and then she passed later that year, our family decided that we were going to continue doing that. And the best time for us to do it, because she originally did it at the beginning of April, but with my siblings and things, we don't all live in Winterset. So we decided that we would do it, on Memorial Day. So now every Memorial Day, right after the cemetery has their service, our family, will come to the bakery and we'll give out this bread. So we usually spend all day on Sunday and sometimes some of Saturday too, making all this bread because it's quite a process. So make sure, everyone stops by on Memorial Day and picks up a loaf of bread in our memory. So
what a wonderful tradition.
Yeah.
And you also participate in the Festival of Lights with gingerbreads, right?
Yes.
Can you tell me more about that?
Sure. So when the chamber decided that they wanted to start the Festival of Lights, you guys have reached out to my mom and asked if there was anything, that she could contribute to help bring, the locals to the festival, but as well as visitors, something unique. And I am not sure if it was the chamber or if it was my mom's idea of doing gingerbread men. So, and my mom actually changed the name to Gingerbread Kids because she thought that was adorable. So, so it's Gingerbread Kids. We make them, completely from scratch. And, most places, if you go to a store or any of these festivals even, a lot of times, they were frozen and then they're just baked off, or they already came in baked and you just decorate them. So we have had a lot of folks who have tried our gingerbread kids that are like, wow, I didn't know I like gingerbread. Yeah. This does not taste like what I'm used to tasting. So we we cut out a whole bunch of these guys and we decorate them. So every single one, is a little bit different. And we set up a table, and, the kids and adults, they really enjoy coming by and picking out their very own gingerbread kid. So it's just a really fun experience. And it's just so fun seeing everyone's smiles and the excitement of picking their own. So.
Yeah, I think it's cool how you participate in the community and with your building here on the square. Like, you are truly just rooted in the community. And I appreciate that of you and your business.
Oh, thank you. We love it.
When people walk into your bakery, what do you hope they feel or experience?
I really hope it takes them back to the good old days.
Mm-hmm.
I would say for visitors, don't expect to walk in the bakery and think it's a very modern business where, if you go to the big cities, that's what you expect in the bakery. We try to make it more of the old-fashioned feel, because we want to reach, all the generations. We want to reach, our elderly, what they grew up knowing. But also we want, our youngsters, when they come in, having the same experience, that grandma and grandpa had. Because it's just one of those things that, like I say, even the elderly, haven't forgotten. That's very dear to them. Mm-hmm. And it's extra special that the kids can experience that too, since, there's not many places like us anymore.
Yeah. What are some of your most popular or must-try items?
Okay, so so it is kind of hard to say, but I'll say our most popular would be our Red Delicious apples, apple fritters, excuse me. Because the original Red Delicious apple tree is from Madison County. It has a, address of East Peru. It's in between here and East Peru. It's still standing, which is pretty amazing. But since we make our donuts all from scratch, my mom, she loved history. And she decided, well, what special way to kind of commemorate, the Red Delicious apple tree than put those apples actually in our fritters. Mm-hmm. So we have a lot of visitors who like to come in and enjoy those. I'll say when I visit other bakeries, I usually like to try the glazed donut, the classic glaze, because that way I can kind of, compare a little bit, because our dough is very different. Mm-hmm. Than most places. It's light and fluffy. A lot of other places are a little more dense. And we make our own glaze and things too. So again, you can't go wrong. So if you can't get there early enough to try our Red Delicious apple fritters, feel free to try something else, because I think, they would fall in love with that too.
Yes.
So.
Now, about those apple fritters, you've won some awards for those, right?
So we've won awards just on our donuts in general. And that's why I'm like, even if we don't have the fritters, still try something, because they're still amazing. You're still not going to get it, anywhere else.
Yes.
So in 2024, we were nominated by USA Today, Reader's Choice. And what they do is they have a panel, USA Today does, and these writers, they travel all around the United States and try out different donut shops. And they had stopped in our bakery, and they thought that we were definitely one of the top donut shops they've ever been to. So when USA Today had said, all right, my writers, who do you think would be, is someone who is deserving, of this award. So they put our name, in the hat and said, hey, here's the top 20. Mm-hmm. And then from there, it's up for the public, to vote, if we should be a top 10 or not. So in 2024, we ended up at number 5.
That's pretty amazing.
Yeah, it's, oh my gosh, we're so excited. And then last year, 2025, we got nominated again, which is like extraordinary. Yeah. And we ended up at number 3.
Woohoo!
Yes. I know, we're like moving up here.
Yeah.
So it's just been so much fun. And We'll see, about this year, if we get nominated or not, but it is such a huge honor. And the fact that it's not one of those awards that can be, received just from, the locals, or, yeah. So it's just amazing, that out of the whole country that we got nominated and then ended up at 5-3.
Yeah. So let's talk about that. That was nominations by travel writers.
Yes.
So you greet a lot of tourists in your shop, don't you?
Yes, we do.
Tell me about that.
Yeah. So like I mentioned a little bit ago, like my dad, how he used to know everyone. And now, there's a lot of folks that we've never met before. Yeah, I would say at least half of our business come from tourists. Because with us being around, for so long with the different generations, we have, folks who've moved away, that want to stop in, but also when they have family and friends, that want to, visit them, they're like, oh, we got to go to the bakery. So there's a lot of that going on, as well as tourists just hearing that we have something special at the bakery and there's something special about Madison County. So yeah, we just get a lot of people from all over. And one thing, I'll share this story real quick. I won't take up too much time, but this just happened on Saturday even. There was a lady who came in first thing in the morning, right after we opened up at 5:30. And she had said that she had been to Winterset a while back, and she had heard about us and she really wanted, to experience it. So she stopped by to find out that it was outside of our operation hours. So she was really disappointed by that. And so she went home. And then on Saturday, she was very dedicated because she drove 3 hours and got a hotel room.
What?
Yes, she drove.
I love this.
Yes, and it's not really that abnormal. We have a lot of folks who drive hours, to stop in. But yeah, this just happened on Saturday. So there is a lady who decided to just get a hotel room here. And because she wanted to make sure she didn't miss out, and that she could, have her pick. So, and evidently her health is not very good. She kind of talked a little bit about it, but I won't disclose it. Yeah. But so one of the things apparently that was kind of on her bucket list was coming into the bakery. So yeah, she came in and got what she wanted, and there you go. And then she went home. So yeah, it Very just cool. means a lot to people, and it makes me happy. So
I'm curious, in that situation where she drove and stayed overnight, did she get one of everything? To just try a little bite?
Okay, I'll be honest. So I am not sure, on how much she got. Usually, when folks travel that far, they'll, get a box or two. Yeah. Because we had someone else that drove an hour and a half last week that I know of that ended up with 2 dozen. They called in advance to make sure they got what they really wanted to try. And then when they came in, they still saw we had a great selection. So then they got another dozen. So yeah, so I'm not sure because my opener, she's the one who helped this lady and then came back and let me know on, what had happened. So she was pretty excited about it too.
That's special. While you've kept so many traditions alive, you've also introduced new ideas. What are some of the ways the bakery has evolved?
Sure. So going back to, we've been there for over 41 years. So I like to do my research. So when I moved back, like I said, the product's the same, all made from scratch. And I was checking Yelp, I was checking Facebook, I was checking Google, I was checking all of our reviews that we had on us. And, going back to, however many years, 2011, just kind of seeing what people were saying. And what's pretty amazing is we have awesome reviews. I don't think, those that don't have a small business realize how much reviews help.
Yes, we do.
Yeah, they really help. So if there's a place, that you really enjoyed, from the service to the product, leaving a review means a lot to small businesses, especially as visitors. They look at those things. But anyways, I looked at all of our reviews And thankfully, like I said, we have good ones. There were some things that, people were like, hey, the product was amazing, but, this, it could work on a little bit. I didn't think of it as criticism. I just saw it as improvement.
Mm-hmm.
So that really, led me to think, hey, yeah, we've been here, for several years, what do people want? So some of those things, were some of like our decorations and things. And I know that there's a lot of history in Madison County, and my mom loved history. I love history. So I did improve like the decor, of the place. Yeah, I have like historical pictures on, just covering the walls. And yeah, that was one of the best things I've done too, because the locals love it. And then also the tourists.
Yes.
So
they see the history. If they can't talk to you about it, they can see it.
Yeah, they see the history.
Yeah.
And then I've also been trying to improve, on social media and things too, because, if you don't see it, you don't know about it. Mm-hmm. So if you put on social media, then if someone didn't walk in the door, they can see on social media and be like, oh yeah, I haven't been to the bakery for a while, or I need to try it out because that looks delicious. Mm-hmm. So.
And then you also do a little bit of gluten-free now, which was nothing 40 years ago, right?
Okay, well, you pressured me a little bit with that.
I know, I did.
You didn't tell me that was going to be a question either.
But it evolved. That's one way that you are serving a need here that no one else is touching. So
that's true. Well, and that was one of the things that my parents were like, no, we're not going to do gluten-free because we can't guarantee it. Mm-hmm. The worst case scenario is someone getting sick from a product, that you just made. So it was very hard to make that risk. But after, talking with you, and then I've had, some other folks before too, that would ask if we had any gluten-free products. And I was honest, with you and everyone else. The reason why we didn't carry it was because we can't guarantee that there's not going to be any cross-contamination with flour. Mm-hmm. It's an old business. We've been there for 41 years. You can't tell me there's not a single particle of flour in the air.
Correct.
Like we do our best with being
floors
clean, but yeah, it's like part of it now. Yes. So anyways, I decided, that we would try doing it one Saturday a month where we would have gluten-free cake donuts. Because after, like you talking with me about, it's okay if there's a little bit of cross-contamination if that happened. Mm-hmm. It's nice to have a treat like that because it's so hard to find. Mm-hmm. So something, with our gluten-free donuts, since we fry them and everything there, you'll have that crispiness on the outside and then soft on the inside. And I realized that is just something that you can't find because a lot of the gluten-free stuff, comes in frozen.
Yes.
And when you freeze, a baked good, you're going to have, it's going to be soft on the outside too. And it's just not the same. So it just seems like a lot of gluten-free folks miss that crunch on the outside. So we do that now just one Saturday a month. And I wish I could say it was going to be a certain weekend consistently. But unfortunately, I can't.
Yes.
Just because of all the other special orders and things I have, and you have holidays and like graduations coming up. So I can't say it was like every third Saturday of the month because of those reasons. But I do always post, on social media when we're going to do that, just to kind of get the word out. So that way folks don't miss out. So,
yeah. So you mentioned graduations. So you do special orders of cakes and things?
Yes. We do special ordered cakes. Something that's really popular too are donut orders. Mm-hmm. Because a lot of graduation parties already have cake, so a lot of folks kind of, get tired of it. It's like, oh, good, you have a cupcake. Oh, now you have a cake and now you have mini cupcakes. And since our donuts are so popular, a lot of folks are like, oh, good, you got something different. You have a donut, I'll do that. Or if they don't want to eat it at that moment, we'll take it to go to, try later on. But we also do like buns and things too. Especially, like our mini buns, those are pretty popular for sandwiches. Because we don't do just donuts. We do a lot of other things too. So if you can bake it, let me know and we can probably make it. So
I love that. How has the community supported you over the last several years?
Well, we've been here for over 41 years. So we've definitely gotten a lot of support. We have, a lot of regulars. We have a group that is at the door before we open at 5:30. And trust me, if we don't open up the door at 5:30, they'll start banging like, hello, we're ready to come in for our coffee and our donut. So, so we have a lot of regulars, but we have, like I said, a lot of people who are from, Winterset who like to bring in their family and friends as well. So that helps. And again, social media really helps. Even if you are from Winterset and you decide, hey, I love our bakery. Sometimes it's easy when you have a staple like us to kind of get used to having us around and not really getting the word out, So there are ways that you could really help other than just coming and buying a donut, which is huge. But letting everyone else know too about, hey, this is a unique, special place. I highly suggest, others, stopping by to keep our bakery going and helping them out.
Yeah. So,
like those reviews.
Engaging in your posts and liking and sharing.
Yes. Liking and sharing is huge. So,
yeah. Why do you think local family-owned businesses like yours are so important to our community?
We're your neighbors, like everyone, has a dream and you really want, your neighbors and your friends, to be successful. It's easy to get a job, where it's just one of those big box stores, but if you support, your neighbors who have a small business, you're not just supporting them. You're also supporting all their employees, because if they don't have a successful business, then all their employees would be out of job too. So that's really important. And then also, there's a lot of chains. So, you don't want to lose, that personal touch, in that relationship, because relationships are so important, and you want everyone to be treated as an individual when they come in. When you come in, there's something about when you walk into a place and someone smiles, first of all, which you always won't get, if you go other places. But if someone is smiling, and they know you and they say, hey, good morning, Sarah, how are you doing today? It's just very uplifting. It goes from just walking into a place and buying the merchandise to actually having a relationship, and it just uplifts your day. And it's just really important, to help out your neighbors in that way. And it makes you feel good too.
Yeah, I love that. What does it mean to you personally to carry on your family business?
It means a lot. It's one of those special things that I don't take for granted, for sure. And especially since I moved away, for several years and then came back, I got to experience, working for somebody else, and doing different things. And those experiences have really shaped who I am today, especially, as a business owner. So I make sure, I'm able to treat, our employees the best that I can. I want it to be a great, place for them to want to work, a very positive, atmosphere. And that was something that my mom, wanted as well. She wanted, her employees to feel loved and enjoy, what she did. So I'm very thankful that I get to do that. And I'm so thankful now that I grew up in the business so that I knew the ins and the outs already when I moved back.
So what's next for the bakery?
What's next? Well, hopefully several more years.
We hope.
Yes. And like I said, we'll find out, if we got nominated again for USA Today. If we do, make sure you vote. Vote, vote, vote. It means a ton, not just, to myself and my family, and our employees, but to the community as well, because we get a lot of visitors, just from, this award, and they tend to do some shopping at other places too. Because you think about it and you don't, if you go somewhere to check it out, chances of, you looking around town is pretty high. So make sure you vote not just for the bakery, but for the community. And I will say something I'm really excited about is hopefully by next weekend. I was hoping to have it done today, but I've been working on a website because currently we only have Facebook and Instagram. But I think it's really important to have a website out there. And you will be able to read about our story, what we just talked about. But also it'll have a list of, a lot of the different products that we make. And that's the part that's taken me a little while because we make everything from scratch. It's like impossible to list everything. So if you don't see it, on the website, don't be afraid to ask. But I am very excited about that because we do get that question quite a bit, about, what do we make, pricing, all those things. So that will be live, hopefully by this weekend, and just keep your eye out, on our Facebook and Instagram because I'll make sure I announce that there. So,
and on Facebook and Instagram, it's The Bakery Unlimited.
Yep, The Bakery Unlimited.
Very good. Well, thank you so much for being here today. Be sure to follow, like, subscribe, and share all the wonderful things that are happening.
All right, thank you.
Thank you for listening to Bridging the Gap, the Madison County Chamber of Commerce podcast, where Madison County's stories and businesses connect. We hope today's conversation gave you a deeper look at the people and passion behind our local community. To learn more about today's guest, visit their website, and for more chamber events, membership, or resources, visit www.madisoncounty.com. Be sure to subscribe, share, and join us next time as we continue bridging the gap across Madison County.